Again, you people are trying to make a gun tuber out of me. Alright, here's how this works. Why I don't like Serpas. Glock and a Serpa rig. Issue number one, big one. These 3 bolts is what's holding the gun part of the holster, to the belt clip part of the holster, right here. Those grooves are rather large. The only thing that's holding it, one attached to the other, is basically those little grooves with a little bit of an overlay on each one. It's very easy for me to come up behind you and just, this is held to your belt, this, I'm holding your gun, and I'm just gonna rip it down. It's gonna rotate and rip out of this. The bolts are gonna rip out of this. I've seen them fail both ways. Most of the time this guy fails, the clip fails. If that clip doesn't fail on me ripping it down, this guy fails. This part rips right here. So this is very thin, and when I apply enough torque onto this thing, this rips right off, right? So if you look at any other setups, they're much beefier and there's much more meat around them. Now, I know what you're gonna say, or you potentially can think. My Blackhawk, my Serpa, whatever, this is the Serpa holsters, right? My Serpa attachment is not as flimsy as this one. This is a civilian one. Mine is the dropped and offset law enforcement one. And yes, dropped and offset law enforcement ones are a little more rugged than this guy. That is absolutely true. They are more rugged, but you definitely should look yours over. The ones, the Serpas that are dropped and offset, like, you know, better ones, they will fail, absolutely fail the same way, but just they will fail with much more effort. I need to apply. This one fails very easily. The other one, you need to apply a whole bunch of more effort. Now, let's see if I can make that happen. The second issue that I have was it's a rather big one. How do people end up shooting themselves with these things? Here's what happens. You're like, hey, I'm gonna keep my fingers straight, and it's perfectly fine. If you can just keep your fingers straight and press this button in, as long as the button works, you're gonna be fine. What often happens is schmutz gets underneath this button and the button stops working. That is, you know, it's rare, but it happens. If the button starts working, you're done. This gun is not coming out of there. I had to take this thing apart and pry things from underneath the button in order to get the guns out before. That did happen to me. It sucks. It's really not cool. You can get like a picker and like try to use the picker to get the stuff from underneath there. Just know if something gets in between, usually it's right here, if something gets in between the button and the rest of the holster, this gun is not coming out without, you know, you prying stuff, whatever it is that got in there. Little stones get in there, little dust gets in there, and then the gun does not come out. Second thing, and that one is way worse. So this is very normal, and it happens all the time. This holsters, I am not good at any of this YouTube junk, so let's see what I can do here. Inside this holster is a little mechanism. See that little claw sticking up? Now I'm gonna have to try to do 3 things together. That claw sticking up right there, this guy, see I'm moving it in and out by pressing the button? That claw is what goes in and out, and it holds down to this part right here, to the trigger guard. So it latches onto the trigger guard. The problem becomes, well, that little spring in the front of it is meant to provide tension against it, whatever, so it doesn't flop around. Besides the point, that's not the important part. The important part is Blackhawk holsters, as far as I know, and I think all of them. I'm not gonna say yes, all of them, absolutely, but most retention holsters that are Blackhawk or 511 or whatever, they all, 511 by the way, a lot of 511 holsters are Blackhawk, just, you know, rebranded or whatever, collaboration or whatever the heck it is. Yeah, idea there is they tend to lock up when you try to pull the gun up before pressing the button. So here's how that works. You pull up on the gun, try to press the button, and all of a sudden the button doesn't work. What you need to do is you need to release, press, and then the gun is going to come out. See how I started curling my finger? That's exactly the issue. This holster is meant to, that I slap the hand onto it, flat finger, that's why there is a groove here and here, flat finger, and I come right up. Unfortunately, what tends to happen is you get the gun, start yanking up, and then you try to flat finger it and the button doesn't go in. It just doesn't go. So it's a very human nature for you to just curl that finger in. And it's very normal. And I've seen students do it over and over and over again. I've seen it many, many times. What ends up happening, you get on the gun, you start pulling up because you need to shoot right now, and the gun does not come up. You press the button and the string does not engage. So you press with everything you got, pull up, press with everything you got, and it doesn't come out. So what you do is you're gonna push in, the button releases, but you already curled your finger and you are all white and curled up. So when you yank up, this smacks right into the trigger. Let's try this again. You yank on the gun, press the button, nothing happens. You press harder and harder and harder. At one point you realize you need to release. You push in, the button releases, but when you pull up, the finger is already curled up, and that slams right into the trigger. I hope you understood what I'm saying. Now, this problem, not a problem. This is a feature, it's not a bug. It's meant to do that, right? The holster is meant to do that. Obviously not meant for you to shoot yourself, but what it's meant to do is it's meant to prevent the draw. If somebody started by pulling up, pressing the button afterwards does not disengage anything. I'm gonna try this guy. It's the same idea. If I just press the button, the gun comes right up very easily. There's not a problem at all. I press the button, the gun comes right up. If I try to pull up first and then press the button, nothing disengages. I'm pulling with all I got. Nothing happens. I need to release, and now the gun is gonna come up. Let's try again, Blackhawk holster. I'm gonna start by yanking up, press the button, the hood releases, but the second the trigger one does not release. I need to push back in, and then the gun is gonna come up. Again, if I start by pressing the button and then pull right up, the gun comes up, no problem. If I start by pulling up and then press the button, the hood releases, but that latch does not. The latch works the same way, more or less. Right, so I need to release, and then the gun is gonna come right out. Have to fix my band-aid. Besides for that and kissing the boo-boo, that's the only thing that works. Safarilands don't work that way. This is an ALS+SLS with a Beretta in it. The way this guy works is you can pull up on this and nothing's gonna happen. You need to release, this can be released while you're pulling up on the gun. And this ALS can also be released while you're pulling up on the gun. So if somebody is yanking up on the gun, they can release everything while the gun is being yanked up. It does not work the same way as your Blackhawk rigs. I hope that is more or less understood. Maybe yes, maybe no. I can try old school, nicely worn. Oops, 92 pass rig. Same idea. Oh, this is out of whack completely. Yeah, that poor freaking ALS does not even want to work. Okay, it binds up right now. Okay, fine. So I can yank up on it and then I can pull and this opens right up. Same thing here. I can pull up, push. Oh gosh, this is rusty and messed up. Push and it's gonna open right up, even though I was pulling on the gun, right? So pulling on the gun does not change anything. You can start by pulling. So here, ALS, I pull with everything I got, I release, and it releases right up. Try that stick here, pull, press, and nothing happens. Let go, press, and now the gun comes up. What I was talking about before, look how much beef this guy has between the screws, how much plastic all around the screws. So this guy is not going anywhere when you try to ratchet, like rank on it. Same thing here. A lot of meat on that thing. This can actually be ripped off, just way harder. It's a sturdier plastic, there is more of it. Same thing above the loop right here. Way harder for me to rip that off. Compared to this guy, nice and skinny and slim. Very like thin plastic, so there's not much plastic in there. that's the story. Let me see if I can show you a quick disarm type of things. Okay, so this is the Safariland. He kind of knows how this works. Let's see if he can do it. Nice, awesome. Okay, so that was the side. So for this gun, if he's trying to disarm me, the very first thing I want to do is when I hear anybody messing with the gun, or if I feel anybody messing with the gun, go ahead and mess with it. Good. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pin it, right? Once I pin it, I can strike. I can do whatever it is. If I can change my hands, I can get my knife and stab him. Whatever it is, I can do bad things to him, right? So here I want to pin that hand down to make sure this does not go that 4 inches off that it needs to come out of the holster, right? So I want to pin it. That's the first thing, right? Can you do that from the front? Step in front of me. Can you do anything with this holster from the front? So he needs to do weird angles, and when he comes up, it's still going to be a weird angle. Go ahead and try. So this really is not easy to do anything with that thing from the front. You go on doing it from the side, right? Let's try to actually do it from the front. We're tied up, whatever, something happened, right? Right? It's way easier to defend from the side, right? So I can do whatever I want, make things happen. This is really hard to mess with, right? Got it? Good. Story here. No, don't use this hand. Use that hand. So this is Blackhawk, L3d, whatever. This got 2 retention mechanisms. One is that hood. That's the first button that drops it. The second button is under the first button. When you press one and then the other, then the gun comes right up, right? So it's 1, 2, but it's one move, and then the gun comes right up. Story with these guys, how they work, is you need to, if you start by yanking up on a gun, the only thing that you can drop this way is the hood. The gun still does not come up, right? So let's actually go ahead and disarm it from the back. So he's got, everything comes up very easily, right? Realize that if he starts by yanking up on the gun, go ahead and start by yanking up on the gun, and then yank up, now nothing happens. Now you need to go down and back up in order for the gun to come up, right? Now, if what I'm doing is what everybody teaches officers to do, go ahead and get on the gun, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it. What I effectively did is I helped him press both buttons in. So second I let go of that hand, the gun comes right up, right? So I'm helping him by slamming my hand into that gun. If he starts by yanking and then I slam my hand into it, I just helped him disengage buttons. That's how that works. That's really not a good idea. So we shouldn't do it that way. So from the front, this thing does not have anything that's going to stop it from opening up from the front. Comes right up, right? Same story. You're going to just go straight from, try to go right from the front, right? So I'm going to tie up with him. He's going to just get that right out, right? If he knows how that button works, you're done. You're screwed. This is a 511 rig. Again, it's their collaboration with the Blackhawk. That works the same way. There is a button right here. There is a hood right here. This hood just protects the button, shield, whatever they call it. You press in that, and then the gun comes right up. It's a very easy draw. It's very quick, but it's just as easy to disarm. Remember, if it has anything to do with Blackhawk, the gun binds up. If you start by yanking up on the gun, press the button does nothing, right? So you need to start by pressing the button, then come up on the gun. So the button first, then the gun. Try it. Very easy to disarm. If I, same story here, right? So it's counterproductive for me, at least partially. Go ahead and get on the gun. So I felt it, I slammed my hand onto it. The second I'm gonna let go of it, this guy's gonna come right up, right? So me slamming my hand onto it is a little bit counterproductive. Can you get this guy from the front? I'm gonna bind out. Right, oh nice. Like frame me. Alright, so he can do it, right? Same story. If he can actually get his hand right past here from the side, he can do it. Can you get it right from the front and go past this thing somehow? No, can't, right? You have to go all around, right? Make sense? Mm-hmm. There's no, the only way to do it is from the side or from the back, but you can just turn your hand and you're gonna get to it. So this is your standard Serpa with the junky attachment. And again, just like any Blackhawk, if I start by yanking up, then press the button locks up. If I just push down and then up, the gun comes right up. Okay, so from behind, how is it going to disarm me? Comes right up, right? If I pinch it, same story. If I pinch it, I'm kind of working against. So now I'm really working against myself. He can literally, now that I set it down, he can come right up with that thing. The second I let go, this thing is going to come right up. There is also way less of a muzzle that needs to come up before the gun can go forward. It's cut so low that this whole inch plus is the space that he does not need to come up in order to turn that gun forward, right? From the front. So this is harder, but he can use his middle finger to get on the gun. Ah, good, nice. I want you to struggle. So see, this one you don't have to turn your hand, right? Can you turn your hand and make it happen? Right, so turning your hand, the thumb ends up being there, right? Good. So from the front, Serpa happens to be a little harder to disarm. From the side, it's very easy to disarm. It just slams right into it, and the gun comes right out of the holster. This is very easy to disarm from the side. It's kind of complicated to disarm from the front. You can squeeze with one hand, grab it with one hand, and just squeeze and drag it with the other hand. Squeeze, and then yank it up with the other hand. So that's a very easy way of doing it. You just squeeze and grab and yank it. Right, so the way this guy works, I despise this. Like, I absolutely don't like him. My problem with them is if I try to pull up, press the button doesn't disengage. I'm like, oh shoot, I really need the gun right now because somebody's shooting at me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by curling my finger like crazy. I curl up my finger because I started by yanking up, the button doesn't work. I'm gonna be like, ah shit, I need to drop it down. I drop it down, come up, and the gun goes boom, right? Because my finger slaps right into the trigger. That's bad for business. So this is your simplest one. It's just an ALS, no SLS, no hood, no shield, no nothing. It's got nothing going here. It's a Safariland, obviously, so yanking up on the gun and then disengaging, the gun does come out, no problem. You can go ahead and try to get that out of me. I would not even have time to react. There is no switching going on here. It's like if just by feel, if I'm just feeling it, now I'm too late every damn time, right? So there's no chance that this thing is gonna keep the gun in there if he knows that this is how the switch works. From the front, oh gosh, okay, fine. If we tie it up, you go into the gun, yeah, that thing comes up, no problem whatsoever. The second my yarmulke comes off and I go to fix it, the gun comes right out. Right, so this thing is very easy to get the gun up in the play, but it's very easy to lose that gun if he knows what he's doing with that thing. There's 20 different ways of pulling that button and it's gonna come right out.